Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show, streaming live here on PodbeanLive.com on a Wednesday, Hump Day, March 23rd, 2022. And we are broadcasting from New York City, Manhattan to be exact. I told you that the MeanGene Show would be up here promoting not only the MeanGene Show, but Mr. Picks, who is kicking off his show here pretty soon. That's upcoming, but he's going to be joining me here in a little bit, and that's Jeff Lambert Sr. He is a sports betting handicapper, and we both here in New York trying to promote our shows here, and we are enjoying the experience. And I think he's on now. Let's bring him on. Mr. Picks, are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing this morning, MeanGene?
Oh, hey, man, doing great. It's a lovely day to be in the big city. And boy, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Hey, man, it's always a pleasure being on the show, man. I am enjoying New York and the view that I'm looking at. Hey, to be right here beside the Empire State Building and looking at it, man, it is a nice view right now,
Because King Kong ain't got nothing on you. I had to go there.
Right,
Hey,
man.
you can't be next to the Empire State Building and don't mention King Kong, right?
Man, right, man. Goodness gracious, man. Hey, man, we look, hey, we are trying to enjoy all the experiences that New York has to offer out here. And hey, man, so far it's going well.
Yeah, it's going well. We won't even mention about the technical difficulties, but that's okay. We on now. We are streaming live here on Podbean, and Mr.
Right.
Pick said we're here right here in Manhattan. I tell you what, folks. So if I sound congested, believe me, it is because I am. I came here with allergies, and it looks like I'm gonna leave here with allergies. Hey, look, I like for my voice to be deep, because the ladies like that, Mr. Pick, but it's not this damn deep. it's I have to admit. but man, but I'm feeling it.
Right,
But hey,
right, right.
we got a lot to talk about. First of all, this is what we're going to be talking about here on this show, and that's of course the New York experience. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about the NBA, which last night there was only 4 games. And Mr. Picks was at one of those games, so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to look at the games that are happening tonight. I believe there's 11 games happening in the NBA tonight. We're only going to key in on a couple of them, and the great thing about having Mr. Picks on, because you guys know I've been talking about him for the last couple of shows here, is that he's going to handicap and pick these point spreads over unders on a couple of key games tonight. And we'll talk about those here in a little bit. And then now this is one of 2 shows I have to do today. We have to do this one with Mr. Picks, but on the iHeart Radio podcast later. And that show would probably be available this afternoon. Me and Dustin Pfeiffer, you guys know Dustin. He did the NFL show with me. Dustin is he works for Bally Sports Southeast, covers the Carolina Panthers and the Charlotte Hornets. So me and Dustin are actually going to talk about the Sweet 16. Okay, and that kicks off tomorrow. You got I think 4 games tomorrow. You got 4 games Friday, and then of course you get into the weekend. It's the Elite Eight. So that's a separate show because it's just so much to talk about. Me and Mr. Pick's going to talk about New York City and what's been going on up here, but me and Dustin going to get into to the NC2A. So, man, Jeff, hey, let's just tell the folks, man, how because this is your first time, and I really want them to hear it from your excitement and experience from getting into LaGuardia. Now, you've been to LaGuardia before, right?
Right, correct.
And we
Yes.
expected something different, but I guess I think they made a lot of good changes over there at LaGuardia Airport.
They have, man. They did a lot of upgrades from what I've seen from the last time that we flew in here together. And man, I believe they saw the change, the need of the change, and I
hmm
think they did some major upgrading, and it's coming along.
So,
It looks
okay,
good.
yeah, it looks really good. So yesterday, we decided because we got an agenda here in New York because we're only going to be here for 2 days. We leave tomorrow, and Oh, funny thing, Jeff. I got to tell you about this. I thought we were leaving tomorrow morning. I just contacted our limo guy. He's gonna be here. I told him we're not leaving until 2 o'clock. So we get to kind of sleep in tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna get into tonight in New York, but we don't have to get up
Okay.
at 5 in the morning. Like I don't know what the hell I was looking at. But anyway, I thought it was going to be an early flight, but it's not. So we get an extended time here in New York City. But yesterday, oh man, we started with a hot dog, right? Because you got to eat the food here in New York, and we have been grubbing now. I don't have the capacity for the 5 pounds that Mr. Pick said he was going to pick up here in New York, but we did start with the hot dogs yesterday, right a couple of blocks from the hotel.
Right, right. And I kind of, and it's one thing about people from different places coming to visit your city, you can kind of either see it or smell it coming. Like they saw that, hey, man, they saw us coming. They knew we wasn't from, New York.
New York.
So I guess it was like it was almost like that Coming to America movie and stuff, where we had all the stuff. We were pretending to be New Yorkers, had the scarves on, and everybody don't wear that kind of stuff anymore. So we kind of showed up like, okay, we look like we got one. Mean Gene, I have never in my life paid $20 for 2 hot dogs.
Well, see, because I
You
didn't
talking
know what
about
you paid. We were just excited that we found our first hot dog vendor. And I've been telling Jeff, like, man, the hot dogs in New York, the hot dogs in New York
yeah.
are really good. Jeff said, these hot dogs taste like they come from Texas. and,
Hey,
and I didn't know
look,
you paid
I was looking.
$20 for
I
them.
say $20 for 2 hot dogs. I was looking for a leash to put on the dog.
Oh,
I
my
say I
goodness.
got a real poodle here for $20. I bought a poodle. Hey,
Well, hey,
but you put it in budget, but you know what not to go back to. Cause from now on, instead of me trying to let people know, hey, I want the experience, I'm out here to say I'm really setting myself up for failure. I'm gonna just say, hey man, how much is it before I purchase? Don't fix a hot dog until you tell me your price.
well, look here. We're gonna redeem that ourselves because we're gonna get another hot dog. We're gonna find another hot dog. We're gonna redeem. Now the day got better though. So after we get these hot dogs, these 20, I didn't know these high price hot dogs. Hell, I would have enjoyed it even more if I known you paid that much. But anyway, so we walked down to the National Football League headquarters, and I told Jeff this was a must stop trip to New York City. Folks, if you ever now, the funny thing about the National Football League headquarters, unlike the NFL Hall of Fame, which is open to the public, they welcome you there and you get the tour and everything. You don't get that at the NFL headquarters. They do not want you hanging out there. So me and Mr. Picks had to sneak through the back door, thanks to a nice security guard who let us in to the NFL headquarters.
Right.
Wasn't that was fascinating though, Jeff? So we get in the NFL headquarters, and of course we got to take some damn pictures. And we're looking for Roger Goodell because I know Jeff wanted to talk to him about Mason Rudolph. He wants them off the Pittsburgh Steelers. He said, Jeff, you said if the Steelers don't trade Mason, can the commissioner do it? Somebody,
Exactly. Can he
some
take and trade?
somebody's got to get rid of Mason Rudolph. But no, in all fairness, we had a chance to hang out there. Uh, Very nice building, 345 Park Avenue. Good luck trying to get in there. And me and Mr. Picks got lucky; we got in
Right.
there. But at least you can drive down if you ever come to New York Midtown. It's right there. But so we go to the NFL, and then we leave, and then we get prepared for, and this is what we're getting ready to jump into, and that's the New York Knicks and the Hawks. So there was only 4 games scheduled last night, and like I said, me and Mr. Picks was at one of them. But Jeff, tell everyone about your experience at what they call the Mecca, Madison Square Garden.
MeanGene, hey, it was nice. The stadium is, man, unbelievable. It is very, very nice. And if anybody know of DJ Envy, hey man, he had the crowd rocking. That's DJ Envy is the guy that does the Breakfast Club show in the morning with Charlemagne the God and everything. And he DJ'd and it was lovely. And the whole experience was good, man. And I just it got to the point where it was a lot of potty mouth going on. It was a lot of potty mouth going on because once again, the kid Trae Young came in here and showed that he owned the New York
Oh
Knicks.
my goodness. Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm like, this guy had no type of standing ovation for him just being a good athlete and coming here. And I think the ticket amount went up just simply because this young man was playing and everybody wanted to come here and see him and the ticket rate. So they, as New Yorkers, you really actually should have gave him some type of round of applause for packing your arena, considering your record.
Yeah, I know.
To say, hey man, he generated some money up in here because yeah, of course we know you don't want to see your team lose, and they played a good game, and and it came down to the wire where he just came on out and did what he had to do to seal the deal. But as me being Mr. Picks, I did pick a good winning team last night. As far as my overs and unders in the point spread, I did my part. Trae Young did his part, and New York Knicks hosted a good show.
They did. The Hawks defeated the Knicks 117-111. And I believe, what was the spread on that game, Mr. Picks?
Actually, the spread on that, it was 3.5 points, MeanGene.
And then I
with
think
Atlanta favored to win about 3.5, and the over and under was actually 226.5.
So that was a double win if you took the Hawks
Yes.
and the over, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's a big game.
So that was
it was huge. Trae Young, 45 points, 8 assists, 1 steal. RJ Barrett led all scorers for the New York Knicks, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. So you could clearly see that he was, doing his thing. But it wasn't only just Trae Young getting it done for the Atlanta Hawks. They Bodan Bogdanovic, that guy was shooting lights out. He actually put up 32 points. So you figure you had two players right there between Trae Young and Bogdanovic that put up 77 points on the New York Knicks. But Jeff, the crowd. I want to go back to DJ Henry first of all. I don't. Okay, we've been to a lot of NBA games, and I don't know. Maybe it's New York, and I've definitely been to a lot of Laker games, living in California for 20-something years. But I don't know if I've seen a place that just rocked from the start to the end. It was just that atmosphere. It was just something about Madison Square Garden. Am I right?
It was, man. Like I say, the experience, me being a newbie up in there to actually first time ever, being in Madison Square Garden. It was great. The experience, everything. It was just, it's unbelievable. And if you ever get a chance to come out to Madison, to New York, period, there's a lot of different places to go, a lot of different things to see. But if you get the experience to go and catch a game and go up in there, and like I say, we caught one that was, that everybody just say, hey man, it's not gonna be that crowded, and turned out it was a sold out event.
It was,
and it was nice because they didn't just lay down and let Atlanta come in and just do them like everybody thought was going to happen.
It was
They
back
put
and
up a fight,
forth.
you know.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was
exactly.
back and forth until they said Trey Young deep like what 4 or 5 minutes into the fourth quarter before he came out because we thought he was gonna drop 50 on him. But it's something about the Madison Square Garden because players like to come in there and just show out. Reggie Miller,
Right.
Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, you name it. The best player from any team sometimes will come in there and try to show out. Trey Young did it. Now I know he did it I don't know if it was a couple of months ago, but he actually had a good game. And this is why the crowd was booing him so much last night at MSG was because he actually took a bow at center court to acknowledge his performance. It was so funny, and I've seen a lot of players do a lot of things. Kobe Bryant, did things. I think he dropped 50 or 60 on the Knicks, and Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller. They showed out back in the day. It's just something about it, and he damn near dropped 50 on them last night, and a
Right.
crazy win. But so that was one of 4 games. The other scores we'll give you: the Golden State Warriors lose to the Orlando Magic 94-90. And one of the reasons why the Golden State Warriors are losing people and this is really no excuse. Steph Curry is out, but he should be returning in time for the playoffs. But oh my goodness, I don't know. I guess when you don't have that leader on the floor, Mr. Picks, it seems like they just kind of lose direction. The Golden State Warriors.
It is, and sometimes and a lot of these guys don't realize that you know next man up. I don't really hear a lot of that going around anymore. It's just like we lose a key player, and a lot of these guys feel like, well, I'm gonna just show up because we already know who they're coming to see, or we already know who gonna do all the shooting, and not realize next man up. This guy can go down, or a player can go down at any time, and hey, you got to be prepared to put your numbers up. And if you go into one of them slump type things to where you feel like, okay, I just been showing up and not prepared to work, it's time to go to work. So a lot of these guys, man, you have to get your stuff together and be prepared to do your thing. Regardless whether Steph Curry is gonna be there and do his
Mhm.
thing. It's just like, all right, he was the showman, and we just gonna fall off until he fall back in. So
Yeah, and Jordan Poole
it's
did
totally what
that.
you said.
Jordan Poole stepped up last night for the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if Klay Thompson played. I have to look at more into these stats. But Jordan Poole had 26 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists. And Wendell Carter, I know this is not a name many of you are familiar with, uh, but he dropped in 19 points, 8 rebounds for Orlando. And Jeff, we saw that Orlando Magic team take on the Bulls when we were in Orlando for that Super
Right.
Bowl in Tampa. Well, that seems like a year and a half ago. But man, I tell you what, that's a big win for the Orlando Magic to knock off Golden State, who everyone thought once Chris Paul got hurt with the Phoenix Suns that the Golden State Warriors was going to creep up and get them, but that didn't happen. Another game that took place last night was the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Joker returned from, I think he was suspended or something like that. He had 30 points, 14 rebounds last
Mhm.
night, and they beat the Clippers 127-115. But, and then the last game, I have to talk about this one because I know you are not going to be happy. I know you're a Bulls fan, and they faced the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks last night. The Bucks beat the Bulls in Milwaukee 126-98. And Milwaukee and Chicago is only like what? An hour drive from so
Right.
it was, or I don't even know.
Exactly.
I don't even think they fly there because it wouldn't make sense to get in a plane for Chicago and fly to Milwaukee. I think they probably take a bus up there. But man, that was a spanking, Mr. Picks.
It really was Mean Gene, and I was looking at those scores and everything, and I look at these teams, man. They start out good, and then they just kind of go into like a slump.
Whew.
And and it just be like, what happened? What's going on? But it's like showing up, like I say all the time, it's like showing up for work. Every day is not going to be a good day. So you figure these guys go out, man, and they beat their bodies down. I mean, we can go out and take a look. Yesterday, we walked for like almost 10 miles around New York, all over the place, just walking from the time
Yeah,
we got here.
yeah, because everything is so close by to where we are. Yeah, I got it in my phone, 21,000 steps.
Right.
10
So
miles,
and
crazy.
and you feel it, and you feel that I felt that, this morning, Mean Gene, that we actually, put them steps in. So you figure these guys, it's not like they play today off tomorrow. These guys will leave a city today and be in a whole nother city and don't have time to rest their bodies. And these guys are going out there and still trying to put on a show for the fans and perform, and with sore hurt or whatever, because we don't, as the fans looking at, we're not expecting you to be hurt or be sore, and you figure you're getting paid too much money
To
rather to
be in
be
shape.
sore.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they don't look at the beat down of a person's body. This is being like in a car wreck. You have a car wreck. You may not feel it the day of the wreck, but you feel it tomorrow. So these guys playing in, day out. You sick four times out the week almost sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you figure, man, these guys' body gets sore and hurt and don't have the time to preparation to get back in shape. You got to go right back in, get up the next day, wherever you go to practice and do this all over again for the fans. So when these guys have bad days off, you have to accept the fact that, hey, man, it was just off. Hey, let me put my body through the torment of what they doing, and it's a whole different outlook, man. When you get to looking at the big picture of it, you have to have some type of concern and adjust the way you look at the way these guys performing. They go out and get hurt, man. You can step off a curve wrong and injure your leg, twist your legs, and they be like, man, this person always hurt. You'd be like, man, you just something freak accident happened that keep you from playing. And just because you paid your money and you want to go see these guys play, that don't mean it's going to be that guy every night that you've been seeing putting up X amount of numbers and all that. Some do it and some can't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's a good point too, because as we look at today's game, the Atlanta Hawks, who played last night, they play again tonight. Same thing with the New York Knicks. The Knicks get that, they lose last night here in Madison Square Garden. They had to board a plane to head to Charlotte to play the Hornets tonight. So you got those two teams and they don't get to practice, Jeff. They got to get on the plane to get ready for the next game.
Right.
The Hawks got to go up to Detroit and play the Pistons tonight, and the Knicks got to go to Charlotte. These are short flights, but still, all of that, grabbing your luggage and have to leave your girlfriends and wives and kids and no, I now they'll do a walkthrough before once prior to the game starts, but yeah, that just goes right into what you were saying, man. What'd you say, Mr. Pick?
I mean, prime example of last night, to just go back and look at, if anybody watched that game last night, you think of the move that Trae Young put that cross.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Oh my goodness.
He put the crossover on that gentleman. You would think if his ankle okay today,
Taj Gibson, I think his feet, his shoes, his ankle are still on that floor.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We actually saw, I have never seen a crossover in person.
Oh my goodness.
And to see how Trae Young crossed over. Hey,
I'm sorry. I don't even want to laugh. Hey, look, we're in a New York hotel making fun of the Knicks. We got to be careful. We don't want to get kicked out.
But MeanGene, if you would look at it, do you think if this man's ankle is not swollen or hurt because of that move, that he can go out and perform? He's a good guy if he does. But if he didn't, if he can't, MeanGene, we were there to see. Goodness. This is why he's not able to perform. This guy is soaking his ankle.
And you know
His
what though?
pride is hurt.
I saw that he tried to stop from falling. He tried to
Yeah,
break his fall,
and
but
that might have hurt him.
he's like, damn, man, he got me.
Yeah,
He got me. Trey Young got
yeah,
him. And then he crossed over and then he makes the,
and
the
make the
20-foot
bucket.
jumper. Yeah, makes the bucket.
Right,
Oh, it
right.
was right at the end. Knicks fans couldn't even, they all went, oh, it was.
It's so that's why a lot of people don't understand BG. If
Whew.
a person not trying to be posted up or be on the highlight film, you trying to stop yourself from being embarrassed by falling, and you pop your ankle instead of just going on through the embarrassment because you already got embarrassed anyway. But you try not to
Oh,
fall,
my
and you
goodness.
may have did something to your ankle outside of your pride,
Well,
So
we'll find. Hey, Jeff, we'll find out tonight, Mr. Picks, if Todd Gibson doesn't play tonight against the
we know
Hornets.
why.
He might be coach's decision or
Right.
whatever. But man, that was embarrassing. I don't know why they had him guarding. I told you several times that was a mismatch
Right,
to have
right.
him on Trey Young. But anyway, we're going to look at a couple of games tonight because there's 11 games tonight. We're only going to look at a couple of them, which definitely deserves some attention. And after this, we'll look at the NBA standings, and I'll tell you why we keyed in on these games. So first of all, we'll start with the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, which Brooklyn's not far from us. They are out of town. They're in Memphis tonight. The Brooklyn Nets will take on the Memphis Grizzlies. And you're talking about Trey Young. How about Ja Morant? That's another point guard that's probably going to put on the show tonight. I think that game is on ESPN tonight. That's the first game on ESPN. So we got the Nets and the Grizzlies. We got the Lakers and the 76ers. And I know people are saying, why do they continue to put the Lakers on TV? Well, look, you got big cities here. You got New York, you got LA, the biggest cities in the country. And of course, LA, who has, unlike the Knicks, the Lakers got at least 4 future Hall of Famers on their team. Carmelo, Anthony Davis,
Right.
Dwight Howard, and LeBron James, and they are just pitiful. So anyway, the 76ers are in LA tonight. I think, I hope I got that right. Let's see. Yeah, because it's a late game. So yeah, they're there in LA. And then another good one here. Now, the Warriors got a back-to-back. They lose to Orlando, then they get on the plane and fly down to Miami to play the Heat tonight. The Heat is really on fire. And then you got the Jazz and the Celtics, a great matchup tonight. And then you got the Suns and the T-Wolves. So since we got Mr. Picks on, and this is, hey, folks, hey, grab your ink, pen, and paper because you're about to get some good stuff here. We are going to look at the over-unders and point spreads for these games here tonight and see what Mr. Pick has. Let's start with the Nets and the Grizzlies. What are we looking at on that game?
The Nets and the Grizzlies right now, MeanGene. I'm trying to pull something up. My system had went down on what I was trying to pull up,
Okay,
MeanGene.
I got. I'm
So
happy here because what I'm looking at is the Nets. Well, it just depends. I guess the Nets are favored to win by 2 points, right? And then looks like the over under is 238. That's a high over under.
at 238.
That's
Okay,
what I have.
and because like I say, I'm having some computer issues right now. I guess the Wi-Fi up in my room here then kind of jumped offline there for
Well,
me
look
to
here.
actually
When
look
you're
at
looking
something.
at the Empire State Building, you're looking at the top of the Empire State Building. What do you expect?
Hey, right. I'm still
You can't
I'm
get
steady
any
kind of
higher.
looking up. I'm steady kind of looking up at the top, even though I know it's fictional. I'm looking for King Kong up there to be
Yeah,
standing up at the top.
I know it. But
So
238 then. So if we go with
230
these numbers, yeah, 238, and then the Brooklyn Nets are favored to win by 2. So what do you think about that one?
If the Brooklyn Nets are favored to win by 2, Mean Gene, I'm looking at just off the top of my head right now. I think they'll come back in. I think they will win this game. If it's by 2 points, I think they'll win. I think they'll win
Okay,
because it
now
was a close. It was close, and I think I mean, not Brooklyn. I apologize. I apologize, everybody, because like I say, I was kind of looking at something else. But I think at the 2 points, Mean Gene, I think they're covered. I think they're covered
do
with
you
the
think
two
the Nets will
points.
get that win tonight on the road in
Yeah,
Memphis against a Ja
yeah.
Morant team?
I
You,
believe they
you,
will. I believe they will.
okay, okay. I mean, because they need it. They're in that eighth spot, and the Hornets. They play tonight too. They're in the ninth spot. So, yeah, the Nets cannot afford to lose this game
Right,
tonight
right.
against those guys. So then the other game that we talked about looking at was the 76ers and the Lakers. I don't
And the
know.
Lakers.
Yeah, the 76ers will be on the road in LA. That's a late game here. I don't know if too many New
Hmm.
Yorkers are going to be watching that, but shows here that the 76ers are a 7-point favorite over the Lakers tonight.
Yeah, it looked like they are 7.5 point. From what I had written down earlier, Mean Gene, and was looking at. They're like a 7 point half favorite. And what I try to get the listeners to listen to, and everybody that follows me, and take these picks and everything. And we're doing these games, talking about these games before they are played. And I'm a numbers person, so when it comes down to it, Mean Gene, the line can it would either move or it could go down. But at this point, I would look at the 7.5 points. I would be favoring to go with the 76ers to cover it over the Lakers. And the over and under at this point is at 230. I think that this game is going to go over the 230. I think it's going to be some ball playing going on, but I still think that the 76ers will cover that 7.5 point spread.
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting there. So but I tell you, the Lakers are just horrible. 76ers need to win. James Harden, who was acquired in that trade at the NBA trade deadline, he started out really hot, then he went cold, but now, this is a big, and it's a nationally televised game. They really do need to win. The 76ers are in third place, 2.5 games out of first place. Everyone's chasing the Miami Heat, and I think they're going to catch them. You got four teams that are 2.5, well, 2 or 2.5 games out of first place. So the Heat losing that game last night, doesn't help them. But oh my goodness, they really, or not last night, but I know they're on a 1 game losing streak, but they really need to
Mhm.
maintain their place there. And I think the Bucks, 76ers, Celtics, all of them chasing them. But so that's the game. Mr. Pick
Right,
likes the 76ers to cover that spread tonight against the Lakers. The next
right.
game, the Warriors and the Heat. And speaking of the Miami Heat, so now the Warriors get a Stephon Curry less team tonight. Even Klay Thompson didn't even show up last night. Usually with the Warriors, you don't get one, you get the other. So Allen Wiggins couldn't get it done. Jordan Poole was the top man last night. Klay Thompson was 6 of 15 last night in that loss to Orlando. So what are we looking at? What are the odds here in this Heat versus Warriors?
Right now, you have the Heat's favorite to win by 7 points. The over and under is 211. And like you say, both these teams, you're looking at a 47-25 team. 47 wins, and 25 losses. Um, at this point, Mean Gene, I feel like the Warriors are not gonna put up the numbers that everybody thinking. Like I say, you have bad day, good day type thing. I don't think it's gonna be they're gonna come out and put up the numbers that everybody pretty much because they had a bad game last night. They're not gonna have 2 games back to back bad. I think that the Warriors will cover the 7 point spread, but I also think that this game is gonna go under the 211 points. 211 points, I believe it's going to go under. It's going to still be a low scoring game, but I believe that the Warriors will cover the 7 points. And a lot of times when I make these predictions and give out, the picks, it's not that I could say they say, well, the game didn't win. It's not that you're picking the game on the betting side of it. It's not that you're picking most times that you're picking for the team to win the game or lose the game type thing. You're picking. I pick the numbers that they either gonna cover the numbers or what, and hopefully, if that's your team, you want them to win. But
Yeah.
sometimes the team may not win and just cover the point spread. You know what I'm saying? So my thing when I give these tips out is because I feel like either the points are going to be covered or the points are not going to be covered. It's not always that I'm saying, oh, and I may tell you sometimes, hey, I think they're going to beat right out. But if you're a Warrior fan, I may say, hey, the Warriors still may not win this game tonight. The Heat may win, and it may be about 4 points. The Warriors just did. I mean, the Heat just didn't win by the 7 points, which is being given to them to beat the Warriors back, considering they condition of how they played last night. It's just the thing that the Warriors might come in and say, hey, we lost by 3 points or so. You know what I'm saying? So that's my outlook on that part of trying to give people advice to where they come. Mr. Picks picked it wrong. They didn't win the game or something. We're not going off of win or loss like that. We're going off the number side of what I feel like either you're going to cover it or you're not going to cover it. The point spread combined is going to be this or it's not going to be that.
Yeah, I got you on that one. I completely understand. And the interesting thing about the Warriors is since Steph Curry has been out, they are without Steph Curry in the lineup, they're 2-6. So somehow they gotta, step it up and get it done. He has the ball in
Right.
his hand so much, and it
Right.
seems like trying to make that adjustment. You got somebody who is not used to being the leader on the floor. You would think, see, Klay Thompson is just a pure shooter. He's not your guard. He's not your point guard.
Right.
He's not, those guys are just set up to shoot. So anyway, that'll be interesting. And coming off a back to back and going against Miami, who doesn't want or can't afford to lose ground in the East. Like I said, they only up 2 games on the Bucks, 2.5 games up on the Sixers and Celtics. And we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics next because they have a game tonight against the Utah Jazz. This game is going to be played in Boston, and I know the Celtic fans are glad to be back home because they had a brutal West Coast road trip, which they didn't do too bad. But what's the line on the Jazz and Celtics tonight?
At this point right now, the Boston Celtics are favored by -5, favored by 5 points. The over and under is 217.5. Mean Gene, I think at this point, Utah will cover that 5 points. And I believe this game is going to go over 217.5.
Oh wow, yeah, I agree. Donovan Mitchell's been playing
and and you
great
looking and
basketball.
you looking at two teams that are fighting. The records is like the Jazz is 45-27,
Hmm.
and you have Boston 45-28.
Oh,
You got
yeah,
teams that are close in range of win losses type thing, and so these teams gonna go in fighting. So when I look at some of this, that you say, hey, okay, these two teams here, real good teams, and I think they're gonna fight. That's why I say the Jazz are gonna cover the point spread, and it's gonna be a fight. So and the numbers are gonna go over 217.
okay, all right, that's interesting. They almost got identical records, and they both are in fourth place in their respective conferences. The Jazz fourth place in the Western Conference, Celtics fourth place in the Eastern Conference. Celtics have really uh, jumped up. I mean, they have been playing some great NBA basketball since the trade deadline. So Mr. Picks, you like the Celtics on this one?
Well, I'm liking the Jazz to cover
Oh, the
that
cover.
five
Okay, that
point
5.
spread.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
hmm
okay. All
Right.
right. And then now I think the last game here we're going to key in on tonight, and this is going to be the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay. Minnesota playing great basketball. And of course, the Phoenix Suns are without Chris Paul, but they have really been playing well with Devin Booker, who can step in and get it done. They haven't dropped, they haven't lost a beat since Chris Paul left. They are still in first place with a record of
Exactly.
58-14, and have already clinched a playoff spot. And they play tonight. So what do you got on this game? What's the line on this one?
You got Phoenix Suns are favored to win by 1.5 point. MeanGene in the over and under in this game is 236.5. So I'm looking at right now. You got a team. The Phoenix Suns are 58-14. Timberwolves are 42-31. Me looking at this, the way that I'm looking at it is one of those things that if it moves right now, I'm leaning towards that this game will go under the 236.5. And I'm looking at the Suns to cover this and beat. Now, this one I think will just come out right out and they'll cover the 1.5 points.
Okay, yeah, it's a close game, even though Minnesota's at home, like you said, and the Phoenix Suns on a 5-game win streak. They are playing really great basketball. We're talking about without Chris Paul. The Minnesota Timberwolves are in the seventh spot in the Western Conference right now. Phoenix Suns 9 games ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies. That's the number 2 seeded team right now. So if the playoffs, ended today, that's the way it would look. But okay, I agree with you. The Suns are just, I don't know, a team that made the NBA Finals last year. Everyone thought that Chris Paul was going to win his first NBA championship. Mr. Picks, there are people out there that think that Chris Paul has won a championship because he's so good. He has never won an NBA championship, and last year was as close as, he got really, really close.
Hey, MeanGene, when you look at it on both sides, you got, NBA, NFL. A lot of these guys, man, for some odd reason, and like you say, that's how they make their money doing commercials and all that. But I think when a lot of these guys become commercialified, if that's a word that I can use, when they become commercialified and get wrapped up in the moment of where you stop really caring about, you care about the game, but you really don't care because you got so much money, and like I say, Chris Paul is still searching, chasing the ring, just like you got a lot of NFL players. And you got these guys that say, hey, man, y'all overlooking us, but a lot of these guys deserve the commercials and all that. Chris Paul made his mark in there. And these guys, like I say, when one guy that you feel like is the leader of the team step down, these other guys got to step up and play some ball. But at this point, right now, Chris Paul is, we thought that he was finna get his first one. But sometimes I think a lot of these guys that you can go and ask Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, plenty of money, still making plenty of money. But after his legacy is he's in the the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame,
you know what I'm saying? And but to go in your legacy, all you can just say is I got a bunch of money, but you'll never say I got a championship to go along with my dynasty, my legacy of all the numbers I put up, all of what I did. And that's why Shaq always messed with him. Mama still ain't got no ring.
I know.
So you figure you one of the dominant big men, that ever played the game and everything. And, and it's not just Charles Barkley. You got Karl Malone and John Stockton. All these guys, man, stayed on a team or tried to leave and chase down the ring. And, and it never happened. So for some odd reason, man, and I hate to say it, but I hope he do, man. I just think Chris Paul going to fall into that category of, you got a dynasty. You got you made plenty of commercials, and if they was giving rings for commercials, you have a lot of these guys that's got some, they have rings,
But
at some point, man,
paid them well.
Right. And you never know behind the scenes, man, how these guys, kind of treat the guys that's helping them put these numbers up or making them look good. It's an audience that makes you look good, and you can kind of tell, like with LeBron's, how he act out and lashed out, and he got rings, but it's the thing that, he want to stay or be the greatest, and he putting up numbers, but it's how you treat the people that you come to work with that these folks will just start saying, you know what, since you want to feel like you are the man, we're going to let you play this game by yourself, basically, and it becomes one of them things. I feel like behind the scene, Chris Paul may be one of those guys. Hey, maybe a good guy, on the court. I mean, if you see him, but off the court or in the locker room, he might just be, one of them. You just be like, man, I just want to come here and leave because I don't want to be around this guy. So, long story short, you know what I'm saying? That, hey, man, I hope, Chris Paul, do get a ring, never, not to say you don't want to see nobody, have something to go along with a legacy, a dynasty. But it's just one of them things, man, hey, when your time comes and it's time to hang up your cleats or your tennis shoes, and you don't have it, after a while, you just gotta accept the fact that, hey, I didn't get it. I didn't get the big trophy.
Yeah, you do. You're absolutely right. So, hey, folks, once again, you're listening to the MeanGene Show, streaming live from New York City. We are in the heart of Manhattan. Me and Mr. Picks, Jeff Lambert Sr., sports betting handicapper. Jeff was able to give us some great insights and on the over-unders, point spreads for some key games tonight in the NBA. And he also does this for the NFL, which we have so much fun doing it in the NFL. And Mr. Pigs, we are certainly working on getting him his own show, his own website, everything. But now I tell you what, now he does have a telephone number and an email address. So, Mr. Pigs, can you give us permission to give that out to people? Are you okay with that?
Well, we're gonna give it a second because we're still trying to tweak some things on there, Mean
Okay.
Gene,
Okay.
and we don't want to have the phone lines blowing up, and we not prepared to answer the phone lines, or we haven't got everything set up on the website. We don't want to disappoint anybody. Like we just gave them a crazy number out there that not useful to them. So we're gonna
Okay.
hold on for a minute before we put that information out there. But I appreciate you letting the folks know that it's coming. Hey, like I told them, the Mr. Pick show, the picks are in, is coming.
Yeah, the logo is pretty cool. The money train, it's the money train. As a matter of fact, you can go to my Facebook page, which is always out there, the Mean Gene Show or Mean Gene Sports Kings on Facebook. But you can go to the Twitter. You can go. We got a couple of different ways you go out there. Twitter is at Sports Kings is how you can reach me, and then on Instagram, Sports Kings Podcast. So I'll show you that logo, Mr. Picks, the money train, which was designed by my son, Gene Thompson Jr., and this is a really good logo. So we're going to get that out there and promote it for
Right,
Mr.
right.
Picks. And before we wrap things up here, I will say there were two NIT games. I don't know if anybody watched college basketball last night or NIT. Me and Dustin Pfeiffer here in a little bit, we're going to do an iHeart Radio show talking about the Sweet 16. That's going to be up and available for you this afternoon. But there were two NIT games played last night in college, and it was the St. Bonaventure and Xavier. They got the win. They got the win to advance to in the NIT. Xavier defeated. I'm trying to see who did Xavier knock off. I think they beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is the team that's coached by Jerry Stackhouse, and Scottie Pippen Jr. plays on that team. If you didn't know that, Vanderbilt was a team that we thought would make the NCAA tournament, but they didn't. They came up short. Same thing with Xavier, who I think is going to win the whole NIT tournament. So those are the games from last night. And of course, we just went over the games that are going to be played, a couple of key games that's going to be played in the NBA. We went over 5, but there's actually going to be 11 games played tonight in the NBA. So, Mr. Picks, I tell you what, we're gonna get back on track with the show. That we're in New York City, be back in Houston doing the Mean Gene Show streaming live Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday is a traveling day, so we probably won't have a show tomorrow. But I'll be back on Friday, of course, to get you get back in the routine next week, Monday through Friday, the Mean Gene Show.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you check out the times, and then Mr. Picks, we got a big event. So here we are here in March, almost a little bit over a month. We're going to be in Las Vegas covering the NFL draft.
Right, right. Hey, and I'm excited about that, Mean Gene. Hey, that is home base for Mr. Pick. So, you know, hey, that's where I really get it in. But
Yeah.
hey, man, I thank you guys for always, having me on the show, Mean Gene. Your followers and all that. Taking in the picks and all that. And like I tell people, bet accordingly to your pockets, not accordingly to my picks. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't go out there and just blow your money because you feel like Mr. Picks got the right one, and I'm gonna put the rent money on it and end up, sleeping on your mama's couch.
No, no, no. You don't want to sleep on
So,
your mama's couch.
so yeah, you don't want to sleep on your mama's couch. So, go in and hey man, it don't require a whole lot. And I have showed folks that follow me on the website. I have placed bets for $2 and won, hey, a couple of hundred or 100 or something, just offer a little money. So, if you think smart, bet smarter, hey, you can walk away, hey, I'm not going to try to, say you're going to get rich overnight off my picks or whatever. But, if you got room to move, to place a little money and you feel like, hey, I'm going to take a chance on Mr. Picks and, try to do a little something, put some things together that works for you and your budget, do that. But, like I say, I always thank you for having me on your show and, helping me, get my show off the ground. And it's been a long time coming. And hey, man, we in this thing to do some big things.
Indeed, we are, folks. So, hey, we are going to wrap it up. Like I say, stay tuned for the Mean Gene Show, iHeartRadio. We're going to do that with Dustin Pfeiffer from Valley Sports Southeast. Get you ready for the Sweet 16, which is going to take place tomorrow and Friday, and then go on into the Elite Eight. So it's basically we get to do our picks all over again as far as brackets. I mean, not picks, but brackets. We get to do our brackets all over again with the Sweet 16. So check back here on Podbean Live for show times on Friday. Like I said, tomorrow is a traveling day, so we probably won't have a show. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for listening to the Mean Gene Show, streaming live here on Podbean Live.